Well, I'm jumping on another bandwagon, and that bandwagon is to review a book that's being talked about a lot, or should I say that has been talked about a lot, because as per traditional Becca fashion, I am late to the game in terms of talking about anything remotely trending. So without further ado, here is my spoiler-y-ish review of A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown. Salutations! I'm Becca, and this is Words Another Malarkey, and today we're talking about a book. So A Song of Wraiths and Ruin is a fantasy novel, YA of course, that is based on West African culture, which I just thought was incredible. In case you don't know what it's about, there are two main characters. Karina is the princess of, I can't remember the name of the kingdom or city or whatever. It was like a month ago when I read this book, to be honest, so I really should have done this book review way sooner, and obviously I don't have the physical book here with me because I had to turn it back in the library, but look, I've got green everywhere because it had a green cover, and I was gonna do a green book stack, but I don't have any green books, so black and blue and teal is gonna have to do it. Back to the actual story. Karina is the princess, and she's next in line to be queen, and she doesn't want to be, but her mother gets assassinated on the eve of this festival called Solstacia, I think I pronounced that right, which happens like once every 50 years. It has to do with a comet. So totally reminded me of Sozin's comet. I got some Avatar: The Last Airbender vibes from this, just saying. Anyways, beside the point, talk about the world building and stuff later. So she gets assassinated on the eve of this festival, and Karina has to become queen, and she has to lead the festivities. Now, she has found this spell that can bring a loved one back to life, but it only works during this particular festival. I mean, it's kind of convenient, but like, I'll take it. And she wants to use it to bring her mother back to life, but in order to do it, she needs the heart of a king. So there's this contest that happens during the festival where a bunch of champions compete for a prize, and she makes the prize her hand in marriage so that she can get herself a king so she can kill the king. Wow, right? Okay, so enter our other protagonist, Malik. Malik is a poor boy, a refugee who has come to seek a better life in the country whose name I can't remember. And he has arrived just on time for this festival, and also to have his sister spirited away by a vengeful spirit. And in order to get her back, he has to kill the princess. So Malik has magic. Like, in this world, basically, you're kind of like born with it, and he kind of learns how to use it and rigs himself into the contest for the champion thing. And, you know, you can probably guess what happens after that. He wins it and becomes the betrothed of Karina, all the while trying to kill her, and she's trying to kill him. So it's great. It's totally great. So I was there for that. I really thought that was a great way to, you know, get these characters together and have sort of a enemies to lovers. And of course, naturally, they meet under separate circumstances and strike up like a friendship that could be something more, you know. It had a lot of, like, it gets compared to Aladdin a lot, and I can see there's some like Aladdin type vibes, wish I could think of a word other than vibes, going on in it. And I think I also got a little bit of like Hunger Games Gladiator, but without all the, you know, killing of children. But there was a lot of violence. It was a pretty violent book. I would say kind of dark. Dark as in just like lots of like things going badly a lot. So first I'm going to talk about what I disliked, and then I'm going to talk about what I liked, so I can end on a positive note. First of all, I honestly didn't like Karina that much, and it's really hard for me to say why. She wasn't the most obnoxious character. Her arc wasn't very compelling. That's what it was. I don't even remember what her arc was. Was she the worst? No, not by any means. And she had some really good moments, but just as a whole, as a character, I didn't jive with her, and that's just personal, I guess. But I did hear from other reviews that others didn't like her that much either. So the other thing is that the pacing was sometimes weird. I felt like the beginning moved kind of slow. The middle was pretty good, I think, in terms of like the way scenes were paced. And then the ending was just like super duper fast. And I know like there's so many variables within fantasy novel, with a novel in general, like you nitpick everything, but like you do notice as you're reading like when things start lagging or when things are just all of a sudden there. And then the only other thing really was my own personal preference, like the type of fantasy that it was. I don't know, there was just like a lot of distress. And I know that like there's gotta be conflict, but it just like felt like one thing after the other that was just awful. Like I'm not saying this was like grim dark or anything, it wasn't even close, but it was just like had just this like depressing tone to it at times, like just where nothing could possibly go right. And then of course things kind of go right eventually, because otherwise you just don't have much of a plot. I don't know. I'm just really picky when it comes to fantasy. Is it something that I'll read again? No. But the good news is I will probably read the rest of the series because I'm still interested. Because, transitioning seamlessly into what I liked, I want to know what happens to Malik, because Malik, as a character, I super duper enjoyed. I thought he was great, and he starts out, he's so timid and scared and just traumatized. You know, he's been in survival mode for a long time, and he's like, you know, his sister's been kidnapped by spirit. He didn't even know those existed until like a few minutes ago, basically. And then he just ends up in this whole world, and he has to make these decisions, and he just grows as a person in such a short amount of time. And I was convinced, like, I don't know about others, but I found his character arc very convincing. He doesn't become some kind of like macho badass or anything, like, but he becomes so much stronger and sure of himself, and just like grows. Like his magic is very much like allegorical in that way. Like he as he learns how to use it and he learns about who he is, he just like grows into himself and becomes a more confident person. I thought that was great. It was just really great to see. Karina, I don't know what's up with her. Malik, I knew exactly what was up with him the entire time, and I really want to see what happens to him, because it ended on a cliffhanger, of course, where he's kind of with the villain, sort of. So there's that. The other thing I, of course, super duper liked was the world building. The world building was amazing. It was so rich and vibrant, and you could tell that Roseanne A. Brown had such a rich body of knowledge to pull from, that she had done her research, that she really had a love and care and respect for the culture that she was portraying. And it was just wonderful to see it all integrated, and it just made for such a unique fantasy world. So I loved the world building. I did. Did I love everything about the plot or the magic system, I guess? No, but the magic system was pretty cool, because basically their whole system is set up with like the 7 days of the week. There's like a deity for each day of the week, and then like an element essentially, and then magic, like depending on what element you have different magic, and it's just like, it's kind of complex, honestly, but it was also very well defined, so I really appreciated that. But there was also like a lot that kind of was left unsaid or not necessarily 100% clear, so I'm not 100% sure about the magic system yet, but we'll see what happens with the rest of the series, which I will read. I will, I think. I hope. And then the plot twist. I actually didn't see it coming. You can stop here if you don't want a spoiler, but if you want a spoiler, so in the book there's a character, he's like the advisor essentially, or like the, almost like the chief of staff, and he was like, he and Karina grew up together, he was in love with Karina's sister, and he's like just super, doesn't seem like a threat at all, and ends up he was behind like the assassination and everything because he wanted, honestly, like I don't 100% understand what his plan was. All I know is that his whole motivation was to bring back Karina's sister from the dead, which he inevitably does, but there's just something not quite right about her, because the dead are dead, as the creepy vengeful spirit says. So I honestly didn't see it coming, and others can be like, wow, you're just really vapid. And I just don't try to guess generally, so I know, just like, oh, now that makes sense, like he did have some stuff going on. He was not a stable person, so I don't know what's going to happen with him, honestly. However, for a book called A Song of Wraiths and Ruin, there were very little songs and very few wraiths, but quite a bit of ruin, so they got 1 out of 3. And there you go. That's my review. That's my review of A Song of Wraiths and Ruin. I did it. I reviewed a book that's popular, so like, comment, and subscribe for more totally not trending content. Oh, keep it weird and read things.